The movie begins with a family driving in their newly bought car. Unfortunately, the 7-year-old child of the family, Manbok, pukes inside the vehicle because of motion sickness. When Manbok grows older, her motion sickness gets even worse. Her father does everything he can to help her, but sadly, nothing works. Finally, Manbok decides to walk wherever she goes, and is admitted to a high school that is a 2-hour walk from her house. Despite waking up early and trying hard to reach the school in time, she always arrives late, and gets punished. At school, we learn that Manbok is not good at studies. Moreover, she's always sleeping during class as she gets tired after the exhausting walk to school. In the next scene, Manbok is seen talking with her teacher, Mrs. Choi, who asks her about her dreams and ambitions. Manbok doesn't reply and simply keeps on eating chocolates. She mentions that her mother is pregnant, and that she falls asleep in class because she has to walk 2 hours every morning due to motion sickness. Hearing this, the teacher assumes Manbok is lying, and that she actually belongs to a poor family who cannot afford the bus fare. As a result, she decides to visit Manbok's house to find out the actual truth. After school, Mrs. Choi joins Manbok on her journey to her home. Following a tiring walk of 2 hours, they finally reach their destination, and the teacher rests on a bench as soon as she arrives. Later, everyone gathers for dinner and Manbok suddenly tells Mrs. Choi that they are not poor. After concluding that Manbok's family has no financial problems, Mrs. Choi decides to return home. Manbok takes her to a nearby bus station and suggests she take the number 8 bus to reach her home. Before Manbok leaves, Mrs. Choi suggests she take part in athletics and pursue it as a career. The next day, Mrs. Choi talks to the athletics coach and registers Manbok in the racewalking athletics club. The coach approaches Manbok and asks her to show him how she walks. After a brief warm-up session, the coach introduces Manbok to a senior athlete, Suji, another racewalker. He asks Suji to show Manbok how to walk fast during the race, and calmly teaches her the techniques of the sport. The next day, Manbok starts her training sessions but can't keep up with the senior athletes. Just then, another new athlete, Jong, approaches her and reveals that the new ones are supposed to wash the clothes of the other athletes and do the cleaning up. Jong also tells Manbok about Suji, who is a 3-time marathon champion. He further mentions that Suji got into racewalking because of her injury, and is very dedicated during her practice sessions. Later, the coach asks Suji to take Manbok for a practice run. In the middle of the run, Manbok stops and starts looking at an airplane. Seeing this, Suji tells Manbok that she has no dedication to the sport, and does not have a bright future. Despite Suji belittling her, Manbok continues to follow her, and complete the training session. Later, Suji visits her doctor for a regular checkup of her leg. The doctor finds her injury getting worse and forbids her from running. However, Suji can't imagine a future without running. So she lies to the doctor and tells her that she will not run from now on, and will take care of her injured leg. One day, while Manbok is returning home from school, she meets with the delivery boy, Ji-yoon, who offers her a lift to her house. Manbok seems to like Ji-yoon, and gets on his bike, despite having motion sickness. In the next scene, Manbok can be seen enjoying her time practicing racewalking. As she is in the athletic group, she gets the privilege to rest during her class. She also starts learning techniques, and practices hard for the upcoming national competition. Sadly, when Manbok asks Suji about her chances to compete in the National Sports Festival, she destroys her hope, telling her that she doesn't have any chance. Despite this, Manbok continues to practice and even imagines winning the title. Unfortunately, when her coach messages her to gather at the bus terminal to take part in the national sports qualifications, all of Manbok's imaginations are crushed. The next day, Manbok meets with her team at the station and starts vomiting as soon as the bus gets moving. After covering some distance, the driver is compelled to stop the bus for Manbok. Afraid of being late for the qualifications, the coach suggests Suji bring Manbok in a cab. Instead, Suji puts a lot of motion sickness patches on Manbok and takes her inside the bus. Surprisingly, the patches work and Manbok reaches the venue without vomiting. However, due to the physical weaknesses caused by vomiting, Manbok cannot perform well in the qualifying rounds and falls to the ground unconscious. After returning home, Manbok's father suggests she quit racewalking as she can't travel to take part in the competitions. Discouraged, Manbok goes to school. There she overhears Suji complaining to the coach about Manbok's lack of seriousness. She further mentions that Manbok is wasting their time, and that she should be thrown out of the athletic club. Later, when the coach confronts Manbok, she agrees to what Suji said about her and quits the athletic club. After leaving the club, Manbok can do nothing other than cry over her decision. In the following scene, Manbok can be seen returning to her normal routine and arriving late at school. While in the classroom, she sees her friends answering all of the teacher's questions and feels left out. After a few days, despite the summer holidays having started, Manbok decides to continue going to school and take extra classes. She also decides to rejoin the athletic club and practice hard to learn race walking. When she approaches the athletic team, all of the members belittle her, with Suji asking her why she wants to rejoin the club. Manbok apologizes for leaving the club earlier and promises to work hard from now on. Later, Manbok even beats Suji in a race walking face-off and earns some respect from her. Following this, Suji and Manbok start practicing together and slowly become good friends. One day, during one of the practice sessions, Suji and Manbok meet Ji-yoon, who is on a delivery. Seeing Suji's rude attitude towards him, Ji-yoon feels weirdly attracted and falls in love with her at first sight. After the training session, Manbok returns to her athletic club and receives a call from the National Sports Festival Selection Committee. She is shocked to find out that the participants from other schools have been disqualified for doping, and she has been selected in their place. However, her excitement doesn't last long as she learns they will need to travel to Seoul to participate in the festival. As she has motion sickness, she comes up with the idea of walking on foot to Seoul the day before the festival. Having no other options left, Suji reluctantly agrees to her decision. At night, Ji-yoon calls Manbok up for a meeting near her house. Excited, Manbok arrives at the place thinking that Ji-yoon is going to propose to her. Unfortunately, after a bit of beating around the bush, Ji-yoon reveals that he likes Suji a lot and is there to ask for her contact number. Disappointed, Manbok provides him with Suji's number and walks away. Eventually, the day of departure for Manbok arrives and she leaves her home early in the morning, hoping to reach Seoul before night. Surprisingly, Suji also joins Manbok on her walk to Seoul. On the other hand, Manbok's father tries to contact Manbok and gets worried after she does not pick up his call. Seeing him worried, Manbok's mother suggests he calm down and watch his daughter on TV the next day. In the next scene, a tired Suji suggests they take a rest, despite Manbok telling her that they need to find a place to stay first. Suji takes off her shoes while resting and forcefully takes off Manbok's shoes. Right then, she notices Manbok bleeding from her toe and yells at her for not telling her about the wound. Accidentally, Suji calls Manbok stupid, making her angry and causing her to run away, but not before throwing Suji's bag over the roadside railing. Enraged, Suji follows Manbok and confronts her, telling her that she can no longer participate in the competition with the injured leg. Hearing this, Manbok becomes even angrier and pushes Suji, causing her to break her ankle and fall down the stairs nearby. Suji gets so badly injured that Manbok has to call for an ambulance to take her to the hospital. Manbok apologizes to Suji, but the latter suggests she stay in Seoul and take part in the competition on her behalf. The next day, Manbok reaches the National Sports Festival on time and joins her athletic club. Soon, the coach arrives and motivates Manbok to focus on her race and complete it at any cost. Shortly after, the race starts with Manbok walking very fast and holding the first position. She is able to gain a substantial lead over the other participants. However, walking fast at the beginning of the race is not considered a good strategy, as the racer will soon become tired and lose all energy before completing the race. At the same time, Manbok's father, who is watching her on TV, becomes happy to see her in the first position. He then messages his neighbors, suggesting they turn on the TV and watch Manbok compete. After seeing Manbok walking fast and maintaining the gap, other participants also start increasing their speed and slowly catch up with her. After a bit of a struggle and exhaustion, one of the participants falls in front of Manbok, causing Manbok and the other participants to tumble to the ground. Wasting no time, other participants get up and continue the race, but Manbok lies on the ground exhausted. When a member of the organizing committee asks Manbok if she would like to continue the race, she replies that she is done and continues lying on the ground, looking at a plane flying over her head. The scene then fast-forwards a year, where an asleep Manbok is dreaming about being a famous traveler and enjoying her life. Suddenly, she is woken up by Jong, who seems to like her and is willing to express his feelings for her. Unfortunately, when Jong is about to ask Manbok out on a movie date, Manbok's friend arrives and takes her away. In the last scene, Manbok wears her traveling gear and gets set to visit different places on foot, accompanied by Suji. In the end credits, we learn that Suji quit running and became a national team doctor, while Jong opened the best cleaning service in town. Miss Choi got married to the athletic coach, and Manbok got a brother named Matt, who weighs 3.3 kilograms.